I don't even know where to start this. My life blew up. I mean, completely detonated in the most public way possible. And the worst part is, I have to ask myself if I somehow deserved it. If I laid the groundwork for this, my friends are divided, my family's furious, and I'm just numb. I'm an accountant. Yeah, I know. It's the punchline to every boring joke. I'm 32 years old, I work at a mid-level firm, and I spend all day looking at spreadsheets and tax codes. It's stable. It pays the bills. It's exactly what my wife Isabella always said she wanted. A predictable, secure life. We've been married for 6 years, and for about 5 of them, I felt like I was slowly suffocating. It wasn't that she was mean, not really. It was just rigid. Everything was about appearances, about the right career moves, the right friends, the right investments. Everything was about stability. And my one passion, the one thing that made me feel alive, she despised it. She thought it was frivolous, a waste of money, and not something a serious man does. So, for the last 3 years, I've been living a double life. It started small. I told her I was joining a gym to get in shape. But it wasn't just a gym, it was a dance studio. My secret? I'm a competitive ballroom dancer? You can laugh, it's fine. Isabella certainly did the one time I tried to show her. It was early in our marriage. I suggested we take lessons just for fun. She lasted 10 minutes. She said she felt ridiculous, that it was flamboyant and pointless. I saw the look on her face. It wasn't just disinterest, it was contempt. It was the same look she gave my old college band t shirts, so I buried it. I locked it away and became the accountant she wanted. But that feeling, that need to move, to create something, it doesn't just die. 3 years ago, I found a studio across town. I met a dance partner, Chloe, a woman my age, purely professional, fiercely talented, and just as driven as I was. We clicked, we started training, and I started lying. The lies were small at first. I told Isabella I was working late on the Thompson audit. In reality, I was at the studio for 4 hours, sweating through a tango routine. I told her I had continuing education seminars on Saturdays. In reality, Chloe and I were driving to small regional competitions in neighboring states, slowly building our ranking. I used my own discretionary money, cash I skimmed from my lunch budget, to pay for lessons, costumes, and entry fees. It felt awful. Every lie felt like a little chip taken out of my own foundation. But every time I stepped on that dance floor, every time Chloe and I nailed a complex lift or a perfect syncopated step, I felt like myself. I felt alive. The accountant was the costume, the man in the sleek sequin shirt was the real me. I kept telling myself I'd tell her. I swore I would. I just needed to win something big. Something that proved it wasn't just a silly hobby. If I could show her a major trophy, a check, some validation, maybe then she'd understand. Maybe then she'd see me. Well, I got my chance. We qualified for the Golden Slipper Regional Championship. This was it. This was the big one. The winners get a $10,000 prize and a shot at the Nationals. This was my moment to prove it was all worth it. The championship was a 2-day event, all weekend. I knew this was the biggest lie I'd ever have to tell. I rehearsed it. I told Isabella that my firm was facing a massive, sudden regulatory audit. I said they were flying in auditors from corporate and I had to be at the office, locked in a conference room, from Friday night until Sunday. I hated myself. I hated how smoothly the lie came out. She just sighed, clearly annoyed. This weekend? Seriously? I was going to book us a dinner at that new place. I apologized profusely. She bought it. Then she said, "You know what? Fine. My sister's been begging me to go on that yoga retreat upstate. If you're going to be locked away being boring, I might as well go get flexible." It was perfect. We kissed goodbye Friday morning. I told her to have a good trip. She told me not to work too hard. The first day of the competition was incredible. Chloe and I were on fire. The standard routines, the waltz, the foxtrot. We were flawless. We made it to the finals, scheduled for Saturday night. I was vibrating with adrenaline. We were in second place, right behind this dancer named Julian. This guy was, well, he was everything I wasn't. He was slick, arrogant, incredibly talented, and had this whole bad boy of ballroom persona. He was the one to beat. I was in the dressing room, visualizing our final routine, the paso doble, our strongest dance, when I decided to check my phone. Just a quick peek, and I saw a text from Isabella. It was a photo. My heart stopped. It wasn't a picture of a yoga mat or a sunrise. It was a picture of a wine glass, and in the background, blurred but unmistakable, was the geometric carpeting of the event hotel's main bar. The text read, "Thinking of you. This retreat is so boring. Wish you were here." I felt the blood drain from my face. Why was she here? At this hotel? Was it a coincidence? Was she not at the retreat? My mind was racing. Chloe found me. 5 minutes, you good? I nodded, lying, my hands shaking. I walked out of the dressing area toward the main ballroom entrance, just trying to clear my head. And that's when I saw her. She wasn't at the bar. She was in the VIP section, third row. She wasn't wearing yoga pants. She was wearing a black cocktail dress. And she wasn't alone. She was laughing, her head thrown back, her hand on the arm of the man next to her. It was Julian, my rival. And that wasn't the worst part. Draped over the back of her chair like a trophy was his official team jacket, black silk with Julian stitched in gold rhinestones across the back. She wasn't here by accident. She wasn't here for me. She was here for him. My brain just shut down. It was like blue screening. I couldn't process the information. That was my wife, Isabella, the woman who told me dancing was frivolous, the woman who thought my passion was weak. And she was here, at the pinnacle of that world, looking absolutely captivated by the one person I needed to beat. She wasn't just with him. She was wearing his colors. She was a groupie for my rival. I felt this hot, acidic bile rise in my throat. I was going to be sick. Chloe grabbed my arm hard. Hey, they're announcing us. We're on. Where's your head? I couldn't speak. I just pointed. Chloe doesn't know Isabella well. They've met maybe twice. Brief, awkward introductions where Isabella looked at Chloe like she was something she'd scraped off her shoe. Chloe squinted into the crowd, her eyes following my shaking finger. She saw Isabella. She saw Julian's jacket, and her face, normally so calm and focused, went completely pale. Oh my God, she whispered. Is that the... I just nodded. The announcer's voice boomed over the speakers. And next up, representing the City Studio, please welcome Marcus and Chloe. The crowd applauded. I felt Chloe yank my arm. Marcus, walk. Now. We have to walk. I moved, but my legs felt like they were filled with wet sand. We walked onto that polished floor, the lights blindingly hot. We struck our opening pose for the jive. The music started. The jive is fast, it's energetic, it's supposed to be fun. It's all smiles and high knees and sharp kicks. I couldn't smile. I couldn't feel my feet. I was just staring right at her. She saw me. Of course she saw me. We were 20 feet away under a spotlight. Her smile vanished. Her face went white, the color of a freshly printed spreadsheet. She looked like she'd seen a ghost, and in that moment, seeing her shock, I felt a terrible, cold satisfaction. It lasted about 1 second. Then I missed my cue. It was a simple spin. I was supposed to lead. Chloe was supposed to follow. I just didn't move. Chloe, being the pro she is, tried to cover for me, spinning on her own. But I was supposed to catch her. I wasn't there. She stumbled, catching herself before she fell, but it was bad. It was a visible, jarring mistake. The crowd made that sympathetic "oh" sound. I was frozen. All I could see was Isabella, her face now a mask of horror, and was that anger? Anger at me? For being here? For catching her? The rest of the routine was a blur. I was moving on autopilot. I was a beat behind. My movements were stiff, robotic. I wasn't dancing. I was just avoiding disqualification. Chloe was doing the work of two people, her smile plastered on, radiating enough energy to cover my black hole of despair. The music ended. We struck our final pose. The applause was polite, pitiful. We walked off the floor, my face burning with shame. I knew we were done. We'd be lucky if we even placed. The second we were behind the curtain, I ripped off my bow tie and slumped against the wall, sliding down to the floor. I couldn't breathe. Chloe stood in front of me, her hands on her hips, her chest heaving. I was expecting her to scream at me. To tell me I'd ruined everything. I just tanked her dream. Our dream, because I couldn't hold it together. I looked up, bracing for it, and just whispered, Chloe, I'm so sorry. She cut me off, her voice surprisingly soft, but intense. Don't apologize. Just tell me what that was. I couldn't answer. I just stared at the floor. She knelt down in front of me, grabbing my chin and forcing me to look at her. Marcus, that is your wife? I nodded, the shame flooding back. She told me she was at a yoga retreat. I told her I was working on an audit. Chloe's eyes hardened. So you've both been lying. It wasn't a question. I've been lying for 3 years, Chloe, about this, about all of it. She hates it. She thinks this, I gestured to the ballroom, is a joke, a waste of time. Chloe stood up, pacing back and forth. So she hates it, but she's here. For him. For Julian. She said his name like it was poison. She looked back at me and I saw the competitive fire ignite in her eyes. She thinks it's a joke. She thinks you're a joke. And you just went out there and proved her right. You just let that arrogant prick win before he even danced his final number. You let your cheating wife take this from us? Is that how this ends? I flinched. What was I supposed to do? I asked, my voice weak. She's what? Chloe snapped. She's the woman who just humiliated you in front of your entire world. She's the woman who just stabbed you in the back, and then you went out there and stabbed me in the back by giving up. She was right. The anger started to burn through the shock. It was a hot, clean flame. She was right. Isabella didn't just lie to me, she mocked me. She mocked my passion, the one thing I loved, by using it as a dating pool. She disrespected me, and I responded by disrespecting my partner. I stood up, my legs feeling steadier. What's our final number? Chloe smiled. A dangerous, sharp smile. The paso doble. The paso doble. It's the dance of the bullfight. It's all about arrogance, power, drama, and aggression. It's about the dominant matador in the fiery cape. I looked at Chloe. Okay, I said, my voice low. I'm not going to be the bull. I'm going to be the matador. Chloe's smile widened. Good, she said, straightening my jacket. Go get changed. And Marcus, don't dance this for her. Don't dance it to get her back. Dance it to end her. Let's go burn that floor to the ground. This is the part where I feel like I blacked out. I went into the dressing room and I wasn't the accountant anymore. I wasn't the lying husband. I was just this bundle of raw, furious energy. I thought about the last 3 years, every lie. Every time I'd hidden my dance shoes in the trunk of my car like they were drugs. Every time she'd made a casual, cutting remark about men who prance. Every late night audit that was actually a grueling practice. All that sacrifice. And for what? For her to be here, draped in another man's colors. The man who was about to take my trophy. I put on the stiff, matador-style jacket for the paso doble. I looked in the mirror. I didn't recognize myself. And for the first time all night, I was glad. I was done being the person she wanted me to be. I was done. Period. I walked out to the staging area. Chloe was already there. She just gave me one sharp nod. We were the last to go. Julian had just finished his routine, a technically brilliant but soulless rumba. He was backstage preening, already accepting congratulations. He saw me and gave me a smug little nod, like, nice try, spreadsheet. I ignored him. I could see Isabella in the crowd. She was sitting forward, her face pale. She looked terrified. Good. She should be. The announcer called our names again. And for their final dance of the championship, Marcus and Chloe. We walked onto the floor, and this time I wasn't looking at her. I was looking at the judges. I struck the opening pose, my back straight, my chin high. The dramatic Spanish guitar-fueled music started, and I danced. I wish I could explain what it felt like. It wasn't a routine. It was an exorcism. Every step was a stomp. Every turn was a slash. The paso doble is about control and fury, and I had a lifetime of fury to spare. I wasn't just leading Chloe, I was commanding the floor. I could feel her matching my energy, her movements sharp as glass. We didn't just dance to the music. It felt like the music was desperately trying to keep up with us. It was aggressive, it was violent, it was perfect. In the final crescendo, there's a move where the matador conquers the cape. I spun Chloe out, brought her back in, and struck the final pose. My arm held high, my chest out, staring directly at the judges. The music stopped. There was a half second of absolute silence. Just dead air. I thought I went too far. It was too angry. It wasn't dance, it was a fight. And then the room erupted. People were on their feet. Not just polite applause, they were screaming. They were roaring. It was a wave of sound I had never heard before. I finally let myself look at Isabella. She was frozen, her hands half covering her mouth. She was staring at me like she had never seen me before. And next to her, Julian? His smugness was gone. He just looked confused and a little bit scared. The scores came in. A 9.8, a 9.9, a 9.9, and a 10. A perfect 10. We had done it, the announcer was shouting. They've done it. With a near-perfect score, the winners of the Golden Slipper Championship are Marcus and Chloe. Chloe screamed and jumped into my arms, and I held her, lifting her in the air, the adrenaline making me feel like I could lift a car. We were crying. Both of us. All the lies, all the sacrifice. It was for this moment. They ushered us to the center of the floor and handed us the enormous, glittering trophy. The host, a former champion herself, handed me the microphone for the winner's speech. And this is the part I keep replaying. This is the part where I need to know if I went too far. I took the microphone. My hands weren't shaking anymore. I was perfectly calm. I thanked the judges, I thanked the crowd. And then I turned to my partner. I want to thank Chloe, I said, my voice echoing in the ballroom. I want to thank her for being the most incredible partner, for pushing me and for believing in me, especially when my own wife, Isabella, couldn't. The cameras, which had been on me, panned out, searching for her. She told me this was a pathetic hobby. She told me to grow up and be a real man. The crowd gasped. The cameras found Isabella. A huge, high-definition close-up of her face flashed onto the giant screens flanking the stage. Her in her cocktail dress, with Julian's jacket plain as day. She was trapped. She told me she was at a yoga retreat this weekend, I continued, my voice cold and clear. She didn't know I was competing. She didn't know I'd be here. She just happened to show up, wearing my rival's jacket. The crowd's gasp turned into a low, angry murmur. People were turning, staring at her. She looked like she was going to faint. She started gathering her things, trying to get up, but the aisle was blocked. And then Julian, who was standing near the stage, shouted, "Wait, that's your wife?" He looked completely bewildered. She told me she was divorced. She said her husband was some boring accountant who left her. The room exploded. Everyone was talking at once. The host was trying to get the microphone back, but I held onto it. "Yeah, well," I said, looking right at Julian. She told me she hated dancing. The realization hit everyone at once. The sheer, multi-layered betrayal. And just when I thought it couldn't get any more insane, another voice screamed from the crowd. "Isabella, what the hell?" I looked. It was her sister, the one she was supposedly at the yoga retreat with. Her sister was standing up, looking betrayed. "You told me I was meeting Julian tonight. You said you were just introducing us." The entire ballroom descended into chaos. Isabella just crumpled. The crowd wasn't just murmuring now. They were booing. People were pointing. Her own sister just exposed her. Security guards started moving toward her. I just stood there, holding the trophy, watching my entire life burn down on live television. And the only thing I felt was relief. I know this was a lot. I'm still processing the sheer insanity of that night. The fallout, the aftermath, has been a whole other nightmare. But I have to know, was I wrong to do that? Was it too much? I mean, I lied to her for years too. I'm not innocent in this, but I never did that. So what do you think? Am I the asshole for exposing my wife at the championship? Or was this justified karma? Let me know your opinions in the comments. I'm reading all of them. The rest of that night is a blur of flashing lights and angry, overlapping voices. The event security, who were not equipped for this kind of drama, essentially formed a small bubble around Isabella and her sister, who were now screaming at each other. I saw Julian just throw his hands up in the air and walk away, disappearing backstage, wanting nothing to do with it. The cameras were finally off the jumbotrons, but every single person in that ballroom had their phone out recording. I already knew right then that this was going to be everywhere. My moment of triumph, my big win, was completely and totally overshadowed by the collapse of my marriage. Chloe grabbed my arm. "We're leaving, now." She didn't have to tell me twice. We didn't even go back to the dressing room. We just walked straight off the stage, through a side exit, and into the service hallway of the hotel. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt my chest. I was still holding the trophy. It was heavy. We walked in silence through the concrete corridors, the sound of the ballroom chaos fading behind us. We got to my car, which was parked way out in the back lot. I fumbled with my keys, my hands shaking again, not with nerves, but with adrenaline shock. We got in. We just sat there for a full minute in the dark, the only sound our breathing. Chloe finally turned to me. "Well," she said, her voice dry, "that's one way to end a partnership." I looked at her, confused. "What?" "Chloe, we won." She shook her head. "Marcus, that was amazing. What you did on that floor was magic. But that," she gestured back toward the hotel, "is a career ender or a career maker. I don't know which. But our little partnership, the one where we just quietly train, that's over. This is going to be a story. And I'm not sure I want to be in it." I felt a new wave of panic. I hadn't even considered that. "Chloe, I didn't mean to drag you into..." She held up a hand. "It's fine. We won. We got the title. But you have a hurricane to deal with. Go home. Figure your life out. I'll handle the press or whatever." She got out of my car and walked to hers. Just like that, I was alone. Alone with this giant, glittering trophy that suddenly felt like a weapon. The drive home was about 45 minutes. My phone, which I had left in the car, had 58 missed calls. 58. Most from Isabella, a few from her sister, a few from numbers I didn't recognize, and about 200 text messages. I didn't look at them. I just drove. I put on the radio, some classical music station, and just tried to breathe. What had I done? I just nuked my entire life. I kept seeing her face on that giant screen, that look of pure, unadulterated panic. Did I enjoy it? Yes. God help me, yes, I did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it after 3 years of being made to feel small. After 3 years of hiding the one thing that brought me joy. After 3 years of being the boring, reliable accountant, while she was apparently doing whatever this was. I felt a surge of righteous anger. I didn't do this. She did. She lit the match. I just held it up for everyone to see. I got back to our apartment, our quiet, beige apartment. Everything was so normal. Her slippers were by the door. Her favorite mug was in the drying rack. Her yoga retreat bag was, of course, gone. It was all a lie, the whole thing. I walked into the living room and just sat on the couch in the dark, still wearing my performance pants. I put the trophy on the coffee table. It glittered in the moonlight. It looked absurd. It looked like an alien artifact dropped into my boring, beige life. And then I made the mistake of opening my phone. The texts from Isabella were insane. A complete meltdown. The first few were just, "Where are you? Call me. We need to talk." Then they got angry. "How could you do that to me? You embarrassed me in front of all those people. You're a liar. You lied to me." The hypocrisy was so astounding, I almost laughed. I was the liar? Then they got desperate. "Marcus, please, it's not what it looks like. Julian means nothing to me. It was just a stupid crush. Please, I'm coming home. We can fix this. I'm at my sister's. She's driving me crazy. Please come get me." And then the final ones. "You've ruined my life. I hate you. I'm calling a lawyer." I didn't reply. I couldn't. What was there to say? I was too tired. I was just done. I went into our bedroom. Her closet was full of her sensible professional clothes, the ones she wore to impress the partners at her law firm. Where was the black cocktail dress? Where was the person who went to a ballroom competition to pick up a dancer? Who was I married to? I realized with a sickening thud that I had no idea, and she had no idea who I was. We were two strangers who shared a mortgage. I packed a bag. I just threw in some underwear and my work clothes for Monday, my toothbrush. I walked back to the living room. I looked at the trophy, I picked it up, and I walked out. I locked the door behind me. I went back to my car, drove to the nearest generic motel, paid $90 in cash for a room, and locked the deadbolt. I sat on the scratchy bedspread, put the trophy on the bedside table, and turned on the TV. And for the first time in 6 years, I fell asleep without lying to anyone. I woke up the next morning feeling hungover, even though I hadn't had a drop of alcohol. The first thought I had was, it was all a dream. Then I saw the 4-foot-tall golden trophy on the nightstand. Nope. All real. My phone had died. I plugged it in, and the moment it booted up, it started vibrating so hard it nearly fell off the table. It was pure chaos. I had hundreds of more notifications, but it wasn't just text, it was social media. Someone had posted the video. Not just one person. Dozens. There was a high-quality one, clearly from the official event videographer, that must have been leaked. It was titled, "Ballroom Champion Exposes Cheating Wife in Victory Speech." It had, in the space of about 8 hours, over 400,000 views. It was on Twitter. It was on Instagram. Someone had already uploaded it to YouTube with clickbait arrows. They'd edited it too. They showed my disastrous jive. Then they showed Julian's smug rumba. Then they showed Isabella cheering for him. Then they showed our perfect, furious paso doble. And then, the speech. They zoomed in on Isabella's face. They zoomed in on Julian's face. They zoomed in on the sister's face. It was a masterpiece of public humiliation. And the comments, my God, the comments. They were 99% on my side. The ultimate matador move. He didn't just win the trophy, he won the breakup. The way her face dropped when she saw him. Her own sister threw her under the bus. Savage. People were calling me a legend. They were calling her every name in the book. A small part of me felt sick. This was still my wife. The woman I'd loved, or at least the woman I'd built a life with. But the bigger part of me, the part that had been hiding for 3 years, I just kept reading. I wasn't the boring accountant anymore. I was the tango king. It was the most terrifying and exhilarating feeling of my life. I knew I couldn't go back to the apartment, not ever. I called my boss, the real one, at the accounting firm. I left a voicemail. I just said, "Mr. Henderson, this is Marcus. I've had a severe family emergency. I will not be in on Monday. I don't know when I'll be back. I'll email you." I hung up. What was I going to do? My normal life was gone. My secret life was now public property. I was just a guy in a cheap motel room with a giant trophy and a dead-end marriage. I had won, but I had lost everything. I spent the next 48 hours in that motel room. I ordered terrible pizza. I watched terrible cable TV. And I let my phone vibrate itself to death. I was in shock. But slowly the numbness wore off and the practicalities set in. I had to face this. I couldn't hide in room 104 forever. My first call wasn't to Isabella. It wasn't to my family. It was to a therapist. I found one online who specialized in life transitions and infidelity and did video calls. I paid for the first session on my credit card. I sat there on that scratchy motel bed with the giant trophy in the background of my webcam, and I told her everything. I told her about the accounting. I told her about the dancing. I told her about the years of lies, my lies, and then I told her about her lies and the explosion at the championship. I expected her to tell me I was a terrible person, that I was just as bad as Isabella, but she just listened. And when I was done, she said something that stuck with me. She said, Marcus, you didn't just lie to your wife, you lied to yourself. You built a cage and got mad when she liked you in it. What happened wasn't a breakdown, it was a breakout. A violent, messy, public breakout. That hit me hard. A breakout. She was right. I wasn't just hiding from Isabella, I was hiding from the world. I was ashamed of my passion because she was ashamed of it. I'd given her that power. My second call was to a lawyer. I explained the situation. The lawyer, I had already seen the video. It was the most surreal conversation of my life. Ah, yes, he said, the golden slipper case. I was wondering if you'd be calling. He made it simple. We had no kids. We had the apartment. He advised me to let her stay there, to file for divorce on grounds of irreconcilable differences, and to not, under any circumstances, speak to her directly. All communication had to go through him. That was the best $500 retainer I've ever spent. The next few weeks were a blur of admin. I found a small one-bedroom apartment across town, near the studio. I used my half of our savings for the deposit. It was small, it was empty, but it was mine. I went to the old apartment one last time with a police escort, my lawyer's idea, to get my essential belongings. She was there. She tried to talk to me. She was crying. She said it was a mistake, that she was confused, that she was unhappy, and that Julian was a manipulator. She said I was the one who pushed her away by being so distant, by always working. I just looked at her, the woman I'd spent 6 years with, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just empty. I didn't say a word. I just got my clothes, my computer, and my old college textbooks. I left the trophy. I left it right in the middle of the living room floor. I didn't want it. The win was enough. The trophy was just a reminder of the explosion. The video, of course, blew up. It got onto mainstream news sites. Accountant by day, dancer by night. I was a meme for about a week. My accounting firm, well, they graciously accepted my resignation. I was humiliated, but then something else happened. The studio, my dance studio, they called me. They'd been flooded with requests for lessons. People wanted to learn from the matador. Then Chloe called. She said, I was wrong. This isn't a career ender. It's the start of one. But we need a new routine. But the weirdest call, it was from a sponsor, a men's formal wear company. They said they loved my passion and my style and wanted to sponsor my competition wardrobe for the next year. They wanted me to be the face of their new Modern Gentleman campaign. A company was going to pay me to dance. It's been 6 months now. My life is unrecognizable. The divorce was finalized last week. Isabella is, from what I hear, living with her sister. Apparently, Julian didn't want anything to do with her after the publicity, and her firm also graciously accepted her resignation. Her lies caught up with her, too. I don't feel good about that. I just feel heavy. It's a tragedy, the whole thing. As for me, I'm not an accountant anymore. I teach. I teach the advanced tango class at the studio. Chloe and I are training for nationals. The sponsorship covers our expenses. It's not a lot of money. It's less than half of what I made as an accountant. But I wake up every morning and I don't have to lie. I walk into the studio and I'm just Marcus, the dancer. I'm still in therapy. I'm working on the lying, working on why I felt the need to hide and why I was attracted to someone who made me feel small. It's a process. I still don't know if I did the right thing. That night, with that microphone, I could have just accepted the trophy and walked off. I could have handled it privately, but I didn't. I chose to detonate. I chose to burn the whole thing down, publicly. It cost me my marriage, my career, and my privacy. But it also set me free. It forced me to finally be the person I'd been hiding for 3 years. I guess I had to go nuclear to finally break out of the cage I'd built for myself. I still feel guilty about it, but I also know if I hadn't done it, I'd still be there. I'd be Marcus the accountant, lying about a Saturday seminar while my wife lied about a yoga retreat. And that's a special kind of hell. So that's the story. That's how I lost my wife and my job at a ballroom dancing competition. It's insane, but it's my life, and I have to live with it. So now you've heard the whole story. The lies, the betrayal, the public explosion, and the fallout. I really, really need to know what you guys think. Was I the asshole for what I did in that speech? Or was it the only way to finally end the charade? Please leave your opinion in the comments below. I'll be reading them and trying to get some perspective on this. Thank you for listening.